Hi, I'm Sean Clark. I'm the current president of the Hibernian Society, and I'm thrilled to be here and share a night of the Irish Poets with you, or maybe it's the morning or the afternoon, depending on whenever you get this. We're really excited. In a couple of weeks, we're going to be having a parade and be in person again, and that will be fantastic. But this medium works so well for what we're doing, and I have a poem by Seamus Heaney, and I'm kind of cheating because it's the same poem I used last year. However, I think that there's something special when you have a poem that you like, and then you like it for different reasons, and it strikes a chord with you for different reasons. And I want to dedicate this to my parents, who are celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary, and both have had diagnoses of cancer this year. So they're fighting through it, and I want to read this poem and thinking of them. So this is The Cure at Troy. Human beings suffer. They torture one another. They get hurt and get hard. No poem or play or song can fully right a wrong inflicted and endured. The innocent in jails beat on their bars together. A hunger striker's father stands in the graveyard dumb. The police widow in veils faints at the funeral home. History says, don't hope on this side of the grave. But then, once in a lifetime, the longed for tidal wave of justice can rise up and hope and history rhyme. So hope for a great sea change on the far side of revenge. Believe that a further shore is reachable from here. Believe in miracles and cures and healing wells. Call miracle self-healing. The utter self-revealing double take of feeling. If there's fire on the mountain or lightning and storm and a God speaks from the sky, that means someone is hearing the outcry and the birth cry of new life at its turn. It means once in a lifetime that justice can rise up and hope and history rhyme.
I would like to do a poem by William Butler Yeats. It is, the name of the poem is The Lake Isle of Innisfree. A little background about Yeats and the poem and the name of the poem. Yeats grew up, or much of his youth, in County Sligo, and the Lake Isle of Innisfree is in County Sligo in Lake Gill. And just as background, the Irish word for heather is Freach, which is where the island gets its name from. The Innisfree is the Isle of Heather, which you'll hear in one of the stanzas in the poem. The reference to the noon is a purple glow. So Lake Isle of Innisfree, written when he was longing for the west of Ireland, his homeland that he identified with in Sligo, and from what I have heard, written while he was in London. The Lake Isle of Innisfree by William Butler Yeats. I will arise and go now, and go to Innisfree, and a small cabin build there of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there, and a hive for the honey bee, and live alone in the bee-loud glade. And I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the vales of the morning to where the cricket sings. There midnight's all a glimmer, and noon a purple glow, and evening full of the linnet's wings. I will arise and go now, for always night and day, I hear lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore. While I stand on the roadway or on the pavement gray, I hear it in the deep heart's core. I'd like to dedicate that poem to a good friend, good loyal Hibernian friend, Arkari Yeel, Michael Donovan, who recently passed away.
Okay, I am going to read a poem by Evan Boland. This is called The Harbor, and it's about the harbor at Dunleary that was constructed to provide a safe landing for the British to come into their colony, their Irish colony, including the Queen, Queen Victoria, who came there a year before she died. Apparently the Irish Sea was wild, or is wild, and the Dublin Bay is not a safe place to land. Many ships were ruined there. It was built in 1817, took 35 years to build it. And today, even still, it is one of the largest man-made harbors in the world. There's a pier there called the Carlisle Pier that has come to be known as the Pier of Tears in recognition of the thousands of Irish immigrants who have left the shores of the island, including my great-grandparents, Henry and Teresa Felton, and their 3 young children. The Harbor by Evan Boland. This harbor was made by art and force and called Kingstown. Sorry, it's called Kingstown, and afterwards Dunleary, and holds the sea behind its barriers less than 5 miles from my home. Lord, be with us, say the makers of a nation. Lord, look down, say the builders of a harbor. They came and cut a shape out of ocean and left stone to close around their labor. Officers and their wives promenaded on this spot once and saw with their own eyes the opulent horizon and obedient skies, which with 9/10 of the law provided. And frigates with 36 guns cruising the outer edges of influence could idle and enter here and catch the tide of empire and arrogance, and the Irish Sea rising and rising through a century of storms and cormorants and moonlight the whole length of this coast. While an ocean forgotten empire and the armed ships under it changed to slimeweed, cold salt, and rust. City of shadows and of gradual capitulations to the last invader, this is the final one, signed in water and witnessed in granite and ugly bronze and gunmetal. And by me, I am your citizen, composed of your fictions, your compromise. I am a part of your story and its outcome, and ready to record its contradictions.
In looking for a poem that was about either hardship or hope, it seemed like the majority of Irish poetry is all about hardship, and I decided I would look for one about hope. This one was in a section of prosperity and peace, but it's it's called Ode by Arthur O'Shaughnessy, who lived from 1844 to 1881, and it reminds me of my dear Neil O'Connor. We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams, wandering by lone sea breakers and sitting by desolate streams, world losers and world forsakers, on whom the pale moon gleams. Yet we are the movers and shakers of the world forever, it seems. With wonderful deathless ditties, we build up the world's great cities. And out of a fabulous story, we fashion an empire's glory. One man with a dream at pleasure shall go forth and conquer a crown. And 3 with a new song's measure can trample an empire down. We in the ages lying in the buried past of the earth build Nineveh with our sighing and Babel itself with our mirth, and o'er through them with prophesying to the old of the new world's worth. For each age is a dream that is dying or one that is coming to birth.
I am going to be reading two poems by William Butler Yeats, Sailing to Byzantium and Byzantium, which were two of my brother Ned's favorite Yeats poems. Byzantium, according to Yeats himself, in my poetry, it refers specifically to the capital of the Byzantine Empire in the 5th and 6th centuries. I think if I could be given a month in antiquity, I would spend it in Byzantium, a little before Justinian opened Saint Sophia and closed the Academy of Plato. I think I could find a little wine shop and some philosophical worker in mosaic or gold who could answer all my questions. This is from the book of Marvels by Halberton in the 30s. There is a photograph of Santa Sophia, which was known as the mother of all churches. This later turned into a mosque, as you can see. And of course, now it is Istanbul. Byzantium by William Butler Yeats. The unpurged images of day recede. The emperor's drunken soldiery are abed. Night resonance recedes, night walker's song after the great cathedral gong. A starlit or a moonlit dome disdains all that man is, all mere complexities, the fury and mire of human veins. Before me floats an image, man or shade, shade more than man, more image than shade, for Hades bobbin bound in mummy cloth may unwind the winding path, a mouth that has no moisture and no breath, breathless mouths may summon. I hail the superhuman. I call it death in life and life in death. Miracle bird or golden handiwork, more miracle than bird or handiwork. Planted on a starlit golden bough, can like the cocks of Hades crow, or by the moon embittered, scorn aloud in glory of changeless metal. Common bird or petal, and all complexities of mire or blood. At midnight on the emperor's pavement flit, flames no faggot feeds, nor steel has lit, nor storm disturbs. Flames begotten of flame, where blood begotten spirits come, and all complexities of fury leave, dying into a dance, an agony of trance, an agony of flame that cannot singe a sleeve. A straddle and a dolphin's mire and blood, spirit after spirit, the smithies break the flood, the golden smithies of the emperor, marbles of the dancing floor, break bitter furies of complexity, those images that yet fresh images beget, that dolphin torn, gone tormented sea.
The poems I have chosen to share with you are written by William Butler Yeats, one of the outstanding and probably one of the widest known poets in modern Irish poetry. Now, these came from a book, from the collected works of William Butler Yeats, and this book was actually published in 1956. And the publisher had the audacity to say that this was a definitive selection of his work with his final editions in it. Since he actually died in 1939, this was published in 1956. We can believe that's possibly true. Now, the two pieces that I'm going to read to you actually come from the beginning of these collected works. And what Yeats did was he divided his work into modules, into different pieces of work that he believed belonged together. And this first one is actually a collection of poems that he dates as 1899, and he considers them to be The Wind Among the Reeds, begun in 1899, and these poems wander from the ephemera and ephemeral idea of rose, and possibly rose as an example of love, to the physical example of rose. And I've chosen some work from the middle of this selection. And I've chosen it because these are some of my favorite poems by Yeats. And I'd like to share them with you. The Fiddler of Dooney. And here you can hear the sound of the fiddle as you listen to the poem. When I play on my fiddle in Dooney, folk dance like a wave of the sea. My cousin is priest in Kilvarnet and my brother in Mockabawee. I passed my brother and cousin. They read in their books of prayer. I read in my book of songs that I bought at the Sligo Fair. When we come at the end of time to Peter sitting in state, he will smile at the three old spirits that call me first through the gate. For the good are always the merry, saved by an evil chance, and the merry love the fiddle, and the merry love to dance. And when the folk there spy me, they will all come up to me with, here's the Fiddler of Dooney, and dance like a wave of the sea, and dance like a wave of the sea. And those are one of my favorites that you can hear, and I hope that you enjoy them. Do look into the work by Yeats. It's extensive and it's comprehensive. So I think that you'll find something you like, no matter what your area of interest is. Happy reading.